What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to episode number 689 of the Smark Moment Smack Talk Hot Tags of the Week. I am Tony Mango, joined as always by Robert Felice.
Happy Valentine's Day.
It's technically, it's 12:51 a.m. Look at that. Happy V-Day. And everybody out there, show your love in one way or another. Show your love to us by hitting that like button, that subscribe button, ring that notification bell, get those email alerts set up. Make sure that you... I wouldn't say on Valentine's Day show your love by paying something, because then that makes us whores, but I'll whore myself out for the Patreon subscribers and the YouTube channel members. You all got a little piece of some mango, a little fruit cocktail. The Redbubble and TeePublic is where you can pick up merchandise too. Keep that in mind. Thanks button as well. If you want to hit up the comment section below, it's a great way to help support us on a non-monetary side of things. Also, make sure that you are checking out the Discord server and Facebook, Twitter, and all that good stuff too. We're 1 a.m. We figured we would knock this out a little bit ahead of time. And if this is going to be another one of those things where by tomorrow afternoon, where we normally would be recording the hot tags, if like a whole bunch of big things happen, then screw them.
We're thinking about Karl, who's healing up from some stuff.
Hopefully we'll be back as soon as he is feeling up for it and all. So send him some love as well.
We love him, and he's not here to say, don't say that. So I'm going to say it again. We love
him. We have our usual setup here of the hot tags, some interesting topics in the world of pro wrestling from the past few days. Some of them we had talked about a little bit on the Darkcast. On the actually, what was the Darkcast that we did? I'm blanking on it now.
We talked about the
it feels like it was so many days ago.
And we did the halftime heat.
That's right. Yeah. So we had talked about some of these releases. Now, of course, many people are not subscribed to the Darkcast here, and you break my heart by not being on that tier. So remember.
Yeah, you don't want to break his heart. It's Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
Be nice. Give him money.
Choose us.
You choose me.
God, Simpsons used to be so great. But for those that did not join the Darkcast here, we do have more opinions to talk about because they released more people since then.
They did.
So we will talk about that. We will talk about Ricky Starks joining NXT. We talked about that a little bit on the Vengeance Day predictions. Kind of saved a little bit of that too for this discussion here. We got trademarks for names. We got predictions for AEW Grand Slam and ROH Global Wars. So that's what we're going to be doing here. Now, we already talked about a lot of the TV recap stuff. So that stuff is pretty much out of the way. This is not going to be the super long kind of edition of the hot tags. Unless we just start rambling about something, I don't know. But I think to start things off, we should get the topic that I think is the most we're not going to really dive super deep into out of the way. And that is the set of trademarks that came out for WWE over the past week. Now with that, WWE has trademarked a lot of different ring names. And now we know, I think every single one of them that has been assigned to somebody except for one. I haven't been able to check today to see if maybe that's changed. I'm going to just double check real quick if that is the case. But currently it seems like Drako Knox is the only one that I can't put to somebody in some fashion. And
Drako Knox, Ricky Starks, and it writes itself.
I had to redo the roster page because now they're lumping people together in a different way, and they released a bunch of people that I didn't even know who they were. So all like performance center types, and it's getting too complicated to be like, all right, these are the NIL people, these are the WEID people, these are the Evolve people, these are the performance center people, and these are the NXT people. I kind of condensed it all. So if you go on the page on smarkandmama.com, you will see Evolve/LFG roster, and they are basically performance center people or NXT people that haven't debuted yet. And then the ID people are the ones that, as far as I'm aware, are not actually signed in any capacity other than ID. Like Kylie Ray doesn't seem like she's necessarily going to be on the LFG show or Evolve or anything.
She's going to be on Evolve.
She is going to be on Evolve?
All the ID people are going to be on Evolve.
So I'll probably end up changing that.
So LFG, by the way, has some people like Xena Sterling. They got that one eggplant guy from like the 4th of July that got put through the table by the women. He's on.
Yeah, BJ Ray.
That's a terrible name.
Sexy BJ Ray, I guess, technically.
Yes. Headlining WrestleMania next year is Sexy BJ. Okay.
One of the guys that I used to work with in OTW was Bazooka Joe, which of course, the gum, but his alternative name that he would do every once in a while was BJ Hard Candy. And I was always like, come on, man. I don't want to edit these graphics and stuff.
What's wrong with Butterscotch Jones Hard Candy?
All right, Taz. Butterscotch Jones.
By the way, OTW, fuck Bear Boulder.
Oh, that's right. That's a topic going on this whole thing.
We're not going to talk about it, but I said what I had to say.
I mean, that's basically what it is. Fuck that guy, man. Tommy, what the fuck, dude? Awful. Terrible. Deserves to get fired.
And he did.
So that's unfortunate for Bronson. All right, no, which one? Wait, which one was he? Bronson or Boulder? He was Boulder.
Boulder got fired.
Yeah, so Bronson, I don't know how he's going to bounce back, not being a part of a tag team. Maybe they find somebody else.
Be in the frat boys with the Jack Jameson and Maria's former tag team.
Yeah, I completely lose track of these ROH
tag
teams.
You don't watch ROH. It's okay. Listen, I barely watch ROH. I watch as little of ROH as I have to.
And yet, I'm still going to give predictions for an ROH show that I'm not going to watch. But yeah, Cappuccino Jones and all those guys, I'll probably move them into the Evolve/LFG/ID, whatever page. But they did rename a lot of people over the course of these past couple of days. And they are like Braxton Cole, Drako Knox is one of those. Harley Riggins, Jax Presley, Osiris Griffin, Tate Wilder, Trill London, which, funny enough, like that's one of the ones that makes you go, what? And it's actually one of the ones that you can kind of see where they were going there, because the guy's name's A Trillion is his name, like an actual real name.
It's like fucking Trick Williams.
He's A Trillion Williams is his name, I think. So it's like you can't go Trill Williams.
I think that's too close to Trick Williams.
Right.
But so also like Trick Williams. His name's Matrick.
Matrick. Yeah. What happened to Patrick? You're like, I like Patrick. I like Matthew. Matrick. All right, well, I guess that's better than Patthew, but it's not that much. The other two names, or no, there's actually more than those two names. There's Aria Bennett, Chantel Monroe, Haze Jameson. How much of these? Like porn star versus WWE superstar, that game, play the game.
It's not even porn star. It's like, here's your fucking CW bad boy, Haze Jameson.
That's one of the girls.
Oh, fuck, really?
Yeah. So is Masyn Holiday. Masyn spelled with a Y.
Hell yeah.
I hate it. Summer Sorrell. I think Tatiana Dumas was one of the new names too. So it's like they just pumped these out. And of course it took a while to be like, all right, who's wild? Who?
If this was like, if someone was coming in now, like Naomi would have kept Naomi Knight. She would have kept the last name instead of just being Naomi.
You know what's even wilder?
Dash.
Tate.
Okay.
Tate Wilder. Yeah, they're all over the place, and the memes that I saw coming out of this, of course, were great. Like there's that Japanese baseball game from like the Nintendo era, like NES, Nintendo, and I guess like whoever was like making up these like fake baseball players' names were all actually. Let me find this because the names are hilarious. Fake baseball names, NES. And it's like, yeah, these sound exactly the same as these. Okay, so yeah, it's a baseball game for the Super Famicom. These were the names that they had came up with for a fake American baseball team. Sleeve McDykel, Onsen Sweemy, Darryl Archideld, Anatoly Smorin, Ray McSriff, Glenn Allen Mixon, Mario McElrain, Raul Chamberlain, Kevin Nogilny, Tony Smurek, Bobson Dugnut, Mike Cernandez, Todd Gonzalez, Carl Dandleton,
I like Willie Dustis,
Mike Truck, Dean Westry, Scott Dirk, Willie Dustis, yeah, Jeremy Gride. Like, these are all, they sound exactly the same as these names. Like, I hate this whole, okay, well, now you have to be somebody like Harley Riggins. And like, yeah, I mean, technically speaking, everybody's got my fucking name's Mango. So it's like, yeah, that would sound fake if you put that out there. But like, man, whatever happened to like good names?
No, we're totally back in the era of like Lucky Cannon.
Mm-hmm.
And Heath Slater made it work. And to be fair, that was the best name of the bunch. But Heath Slater is also that name. Or like Justin Gabriel.
Yeah, Justin Gabriel was a blah name.
It's because again, not to. By the way, here's the tangent that we said would drag the show out. No, like that's another one. If Justin Gabriel debuted, let's say 10 years prior, he would have been named Angel, and it would have been one word. It would have been like, all right, we're gonna give you some fucking Buffy gimmick because we're gonna name you Angel. Or he would have been the Darewolf. That would have been it. And then
like, you put a mask on him, you call him Darewolf. Fuck yeah.
And then it would have been, and then now it's like, well, you gotta have a first name and a last name, and it's super cheesy. Like, you know who's the best character, or like one of the most fun characters to watch? Axiom. They put a mask on the guy. He's a decent looking guy too, but they put a mask on him, and it's like, oh, cool. Now he feels like a more fun character because he looks like a Power Ranger. Do that.
Because it's certainly not going to be like, man, aren't you interested in Cale Dixon versus Braxton Cole? No, who the fuck are these people?
Are there? Is this like the Monster Jam show? Like,
yeah, I saw somebody point out about Uriah Connors saying like, oh man, and I thought Uriah Connors was a bad name, and it's like, it's true though. Like, out of everybody on the roster so far, for like even like, you know, people that have been around for a while on like Raw, SmackDown, NXT and stuff, like, man, most of these names are awful. Some of them are okay. Like even a name like Cora Jade, okay, that's pretty good, all things considered. And like Ariana Grace, she's got a gimmick that goes along with it. Adriana Rizzo, okay, she's got that fucking voice and everything. Like,
I love that voice.
But realistically, like Fallon Henley, why is she Fallon Henley? Now, if she would have been Tesha Price, it would have been the same. Like, well, why is she Tesha Price? You know, like that kind of thing. But like, I don't know. At least if it sounds a little bit different, like Shotzi. Although I like it better when she was Shotzi Blackheart. That was better.
But yeah, because that still sounds like, all right, you thought of a name that sounds cool. Like,
that sounds like an old school wrestler thing. Like,
yeah, like
Ultimate Warrior types, like Macho Man Randy Savage, you know?
Again, like, you know, a guy like Edge. And we're seeing it now where he's just Adam Copeland. And the only reason it carries any weight is because we know he's Edge.
Mm-hmm. Cope. Ugh, hate it. It's pretty bad when Carly Bright is one of the better names.
I do like her and her tag partner, whose name just escaped me.
For who? What? Carly Bright's
Carly
partner?
Bright and Kendall Gray.
Kendall Gray, yeah.
Kendall Gray.
See, now if they would have thought ahead of time, they would have went with like Carly Bright and Kendall
Night.
I don't know. Dark.
Night. Night. It's the bright and night connection. The night light connection.
Bright light. Oh, they're probably too young for that too. I'm probably dating myself.
I know what a light brand is.
I don't know if they do though. That's the thing. They're probably younger.
Yeah.
Probably like 20 something, and they'd be like, "What is that? Oh, is that
There
from
you
our
go.
elders?"
There's your tangent. It's me and Tony. It's 1 a.m. That's how you get here. Like,
but I don't like these names, and at the same time, I can't hate the people for picking these names. Like, they force them on them. So I'm sure that they just tossed out a bunch of options, and they were like, "All right, well, Jax Presley sounds good enough to me," you know.
I like Osiris Griffin. Now that I know who it is for. Now that I know it's not renaming Ricky Starks. Oh, by the way, Fightful has more on that. We'll get to that later.
Well, that was a funny name because Josh Black, for anybody who's wondering what his real name was, had posted a picture of like an Egyptian outfit on Peter Griffin and being like me as fuck. Which is like, all right, I already like you now.
It's funny because I saw that picture and I didn't get it now. As I said to you, Peter Griffin. Oh, I get it. It's on Griffin.
So that group of names, who knows if we're going to be like, wow, you know, in a few years, we're going to be looking at this and being like, you know, WrestleMania headliner Summer Sorrell and being like, how fucking great is Summer Sorrell or something.
It's worth noting. I like that name better than some of the others.
Yeah, it's not too bad, all things considered. But, you know, when you put a marquee up of a lot of these names, they just sound bland. And you got to have some personality to escape that. In which, I mean, if you don't have the personality, no matter what your name is, you're probably not going to get over anyway. Plenty of people have had cool names and they got nowhere. Plenty of people have had shit names and they got somewhere. And how far did we think Dolph Ziggler was going to go? Like, Jesus, terrible name.
Yeah, but it's still better than Dirk Diggler. So
should have just been Nick Nemeth. Like,
yeah,
he already was Nicky.
He was doing the natural Nick Nemeth and FCW so much better.
And like, yeah, Nick Nemeth isn't like, oh wow, isn't that like such a big thing for the marquee either? But like, that's his name. At least you're gonna go. If you're gonna make them exactly the same as their actual personalities and stuff, instead of giving them a gimmick like the Boogeyman or whatever, then just let them do their names a lot of the times, or do like a variation of their names. Like, you know, when people do things like, I'm trying to think of somebody who's like a specific example that makes a lot of sense now, and I'm blanking on them. I just had somebody in my head. Oh my God, who was it? Point being, like, you know, when they do that kind of stuff where they take somebody's name and they kind of just like give it a little bit of a tweak, and it's not a full blown like Rhea Ripley is not Rhea Ripley in the slightest bit. She's what, Demi Bennett, I think is her name. But if it's like, I don't know, what's Kairi Sane's name? Really?
I
think it's Kairi something.
Kairi Hojo?
Kaori Hosako?
She might have gotten there.
But she went by Kairi Hojo on Stardom, it seems. So it's like, okay, Kaori, and she goes, Kairi. Okay, cool. That makes sense. And you go Sane, like, oh, she's like insane or something like that. Sure. Yeah, makes sense. But
yeah, like, even though I didn't like the name change, Io Sky from Io Shirai is pretty good. Genius of the Sky and all that.
Mm-hmm.
The point is, a rose by any other name would smell sweet.
And then you get, you know, some people that are just like their names change constantly. Then it really doesn't matter what their name is because nobody's really going to care all that much. Like, how many times have we had to switch back and forth between Humberto Carrillo and Berto and just Humberto and, you know, whatever. And it's like, all right, same guy, same dude. So you want to go by Berto? Okay, fine. Yeah. But I think that these names are not great. And I'm curious to see how they're able to like branch out from there. But part of the thing that was a big discussion point around this time frame was Ricky Starks. We don't know if he's going to go by Ricky Starks yet, but it does seem like there's more of a chance of it now than there was a couple days ago. Because NXT comes along, Ricky Starks comes out there. They say nothing about his name over 2 different segments, over multiple social media posts. It's all just things like, look who it is. Oh, the future star is here.
It's him.
It's him. You know who that is. Like that, those kind of things. Not at all. Okay, Starks is here. Ricky Starks, whatever. But then it seems like there are some reports that are out there now that he is going to potentially at least be listed right now as like Ricky Starks on the roster page. And you would have to assume that they'd be like, okay, look, we didn't do it with Brian Pillman. I don't know why. But we did it with Julia and Stephanie Vaquer. And Sean Spears got to keep his ring name. This idea that they've been doing lately where they're like co-licensing names as long as people are on the roster, they should have been doing that a long time ago.
So I'll read you the report from Fightful. Starks debuted on WWE TV on February 11 NXT episode, with the company intentionally avoiding calling him by his name. Now, it says internally, Starks is being referred to as Ricky Starks, and that a source in WWE confirmed that the company works on, these agreements, and since his deal came together so quickly, they're like, hey, we don't technically have the rights yet, so just not yet,
Yeah, like let's, for the sake of not having a headache, let's just avoid it this week.
Yeah, and then maybe, who knows, maybe next week he's Ricky Starks, maybe by Sunday he's Petey Pecker. I don't know.
Now, Vengeance Day is going to be the real test, because we do assume that he is leading this faction that's on the silhouettes and everything. And if they have him come out, well, even if it's not that, if they have him come out in any capacity and they go, and look at this, Ricky Starks is whatever, then not only do we know that he's Ricky Starks, because they're not going to have him say Ricky Starks and then come out, cut a promo and be like, you know me as Ricky Starks, but now you can call me
fucking,
you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go chat GPT. What are some funny new ring names for Ricky Starks?
I'm gonna go Sticky Works.
So ChatGPT says, here are some funny and outlandish possibilities. Okay, some of these are pretty fucking funny. So there's a style name to it. They gave me like separate categories. Rico Sparks.
I like that.
Rick Stars with a Z.
I like that.
Starkey Ricci.
I like that.
Big Stroke Ricky.
Okay, because he does call himself the Stroke Daddy.
Slicky Tarks. And it gives me an explanation for it. It says NXT's version of a cool guy name, but it's just bad.
Oh my god.
Chad Savage.
I like Chad.
Neon Stacks with 2 X's. D'Angelo Ricardo. And then it says, sounds like a guy who almost ended up in Tony D'Angelo's family. Viper Stacks. They like that Stacks name. Ricardo Voltage. And then it says, sounds like a rejected Power Rangers villain. Maverick Lux.
Wait.
Swayze Gold. Stroke Daddy Deluxe.
I'm getting a little worried about ChatGPT. These are actually quite funny.
Well, the one that I like, actually, where I'm like, oh, this could kind of work for somebody. Flash Fontaine.
You know what? That's both concerning and great.
I actually wouldn't mind a character being Flash Fontaine.
It's both concerning and great that ChatGPT just roasted NXT.
Yeah. All things considered, Swayze Gold isn't too damn bad either. But yeah, this is pretty funny. This is what I use I'm killing the environment doing shit like this. But you know what? I fucking voted the right way. So.
To be clear, to anyone who's listening to this for the first time, he's not MAGA saying he voted the right way and gloating about the victory. He voted for Kamala, and the world.
I voted the way that everybody should have, and the world's collapsing around me. So if I do use fucking ChatGPT, I'm not the reason the world's gonna end. Good old Flash Fontaine. I am hoping Ricky Starks keeps his name. I think that it's stupid if they have him change it. I'm still a little nervous that they're going to, but now I'm feeling a little bit more confident that we're going to keep it.
Well, I look forward to the debut of Neon Stacks.
Neon Stacks or Viper Stacks. They like that Stacks name. Channing Stacks Lorenzo without the,
What was it? D'Angelo. What was the name that you just
I already deleted it already. D'Angelo Ricardo, I think.
Yeah, look what the fuck is that?
Surprised I didn't go D'Angelo Stacks and just be like, yeah, just combine. I don't know why ChatGPT really likes the D'Angelo family tonight, but
forget about it.
Starks is one of those topics that, we talked about that a little bit on the NXT Vengeance Day predictions and all. So nothing's really changed since then, other than the potential of the name sticking around. But I like that the response seemingly has been pretty positive. Although, of course, you do see people that are like, oh, he couldn't get over in AEW, so he went here. And it's like, yeah, I mean, that's what you would do, right? Like, isn't that the point? People leave WWE because they can't go over and they go to AEW. That's what you should do. Like, switch it up and try to succeed elsewhere.
And he is going to succeed, I think. And if we're honest with ourselves, people take the tribalism too seriously.
Way too seriously. And I think a lot of people get really butthurt if, like, their preferred place is not perfect in some ways, and then they just kind of imagine that it is. And like, it's pretty obvious that, like, I prefer WWE to AEW, but I look at certain people and I go, man, I wish that person would leave WWE. They would be so much better off in AEW. Like, it's just, I don't know, matter of fact. Then again, I'm logical to a fault a lot of the time. But, like, some people do work better in different environments. And although AEW doesn't have the vibe that it used to in some ways, it is still a different type of show in some ways. And
it's more in-ring focused, and Ricky's a good wrestler, but he's not great. Like, he's not like Ospreay.
Yeah, he also has been there long enough that if they were going to push him in that kind of a way, they would have done it already. Where you look at, like, how much more successful Jack Perry has been. Or,
well, he fell off the face of the earth after losing the title, but that's okay.
Yeah, but, like, I think when he comes back, he's not going to have lost, like, too much momentum. But, you bring in, like, a Will Ospreay, they push him to the moon. They bring in somebody like an Okada, they push him to the moon. Starks had been there for a while, and they tried him as a potential main eventer. They tried him as a mid-card guy. They tried him with tag teams. Something wasn't super clicking. But I remember watching him in NWA in that short time frame where I was watching NWA and being like, oh, I kind of like this guy. I think he'd be a good fit for something like an NXT. Certain people just vibe that way. Like, I don't think that a guy like, say, AR Fox would succeed in NXT. Or even if you don't want to go with somebody who's, like, on the lower end like that, like, I used to think that they were kind of sitting on some money when it came to, like, Brian Cage, for instance. And I'm like, no, I don't think that he probably would have been doing all that much better in WWE.
Maybe. He would have had a good NXT run.
I think a different era, maybe. But if he were to leave now and go to NXT, I don't think we're talking about, multi-time NXT champion heading up to the main roster and going straight into a feud with Seth Rollins or something. I still think Sammy Guevara could be a little bit better in NXT.
Yeah, but I don't know. I highly doubt his wife ever goes back to NXT, and they seem happy where they are. And I also think that not wanting to be in the Jericho vortex anymore affected him. Because I bet if he wasn't against that, he just would have been in the learning tree.
Yeah, probably. It would have been like, oh, can you make this the third time the charm?
The third, I think like the fourth.
Well, he was part of Jericho Appreciation Society. He was part of
the Inner Circle for like 500 years.
So this would be the third, right?
Oh, yeah, I guess so.
Unless you count separately the whole Les Sex Gods thing, but to me, it's kind of just an offshoot.
I think there's some people who would do better in WWE.
I think maybe Wardlow still probably would have been better off.
You think that ship has sailed in general?
Probably at this point.
I hope not. I hope he heals up and he gets to have a good monster run somewhere.
I'm actually worried that the ship has sailed for MJF.
No.
Yeah. MJF hasn't been as hot.
I think putting him in the direction of Hangman is going to heat his career right back up.
I hope so, because, man, it hasn't been a good year.
Because I saw a lot of people saying exactly that when they had their angle on Dynamite. Like, this feels like AEW. Which, by the way, of course it does. It's two of the top.
Two of the guys that started the whole
faces.
thing. I mean, the first... Yeah. Was it the first match?
No.
Technically?
No, it was the Battle Royal. Was
Battle
Battle Royal
Royal
the first match?
I think it was the first match, wasn't it?
Actually, yeah, the final two in the first match.
So, this was like... talk about main character type of things. Like
I remember saying, like, yeah, they'll be like The Rock and Triple H, the company.
Yeah.
They'll just fight all the time. And we haven't gotten there yet, but maybe we will.
For a little bit, I thought that the Acclaimed could be better in WWE. Now, not so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, like somebody like Takeshita, he is way better off in AEW.
Yeah, WWE would have nothing for him.
No.
I'd argue that he's even better off in just New Japan or something. Because sometimes they've corrected course now, but there was a while there where it seemed like they weren't using Takeshita properly.
Well, as far as people that should be going somewhere or another, that kind of lumps us back into the discussion about the people that have been released recently from WWE and the people that are waiting in the wings and kind of released and whatever when it comes to AEW. We group this all together. So originally, at the beginning of this week, I had down, hey, Ricky Starks has been taken off the AEW roster. Well, we can change that now to Ricky Starks joins the NXT roster. But Miro and Malakai Black have also been taken off the roster. Not Rey Fenix, which I think is pretty petty. Just let him go too.
They'll get around to it, I'm sure.
I mean, eventually it's going to expire. Yeah, they have to eventually. And a lot of people are like, oh man, Miro and Malakai Black are going to come back immediately. I don't think so when it comes to Miro. I do think Malakai Black is we're going to see Aleister Black, I should say, pop up on a SmackDown
Aleister Black?
Sometime post Royal Rumble. I'm not post WrestleMania, I think. But they could put him in there beforehand. And that's exactly where I think he's going. I think he's going SmackDown. I mean, Zelina Vega's there. Miro, though, I got a feeling he's not going to be in WWE.
What do you think he's done?
I think he might be done, yeah. Because we don't know exactly what's been going on with him. But for all those accounts that said that he just sort of like packed up and went to Bulgaria, maybe he's just like, yeah, fuck all this. I really don't want to do this, you know?
That would be unfortunate, but I also understand.
I mean, now that he is free, we might see him popping up elsewhere. Maybe that was just like, I'm going to do that to put myself some separation because so that way they don't call me and I could just relax and shit. Now he can go elsewhere. Maybe he's like, maybe I'll do some indies. Maybe I'll try to get back to WWE.
Well, he's got the in. Every day is Rusev Day.
Do you think if they bring him back, they'd put him on like a specific like roster or a specific like? Do you think he just comes back as like Rusev being like happy-go-lucky Rusev Day, or do you think he comes back as like Bulgarian Brute?
I think it would have to be Rusev Day because the people would pop for that, but I think you can always turn it into the Brute again.
And we're waiting for Rey Fenix. We're waiting for all these guys. WWE in the meantime goes, well, we got to make some room for Tate Wilder and all these people that are coming in. So we talked about this a little bit, but we're going to retread some of the things and, you know, track the movements here. But over this past week or so, last week we talked about Duke Hudson. So he's out of the way. And he had another video up, and it was, you know, another fun video for that.
Yeah, these are really good videos, by the way. Go check out Duke Hudson.
I really hope he bounces back. But they also ended up going, okay, well, we're going to release a bunch of other people. So when we were talking about the Duke Hudson releases, we were like, that's so weird that they just released him. Like, they didn't release Riley Osborne. They didn't release Thea Hale. The only person that they're showing is Andre Chase. And now on NXT this week, they had Kale Dixon do a whole thing with Andre Chase again and Uriah Connors. It gives me the vibe that they wanted a reset with these people and they just want to do Chase U again, but with different people.
But it won't be Chase U. It'll be like a party. It'll be like a frat boy time instead of him being a serious teacher.
Maybe that's what it is. It gets me a little bit nervous for Thea Hale and Riley Osborne.
I think Thea's going to be on Evolve.
You think they're going to downgrade her to that?
It could be downgrade. It could be a lateral move. You know?
I still want them to just... I mean, they also could just be waiting for Thea to be like, we're going to move up like Roxanne and some other people, so we need more names in the women's division, and Thea, you can come back a little bit when like we got nothing for you now. Could just be that.
Right.
But they decided to get rid of Sonya Deville, Isla Dawn, Blair Davenport, Cedric Alexander, AOP, Paul Ellering, Giovanni Vinci, Elektra Lopez, Karl Anderson, and Luke Gallows. So let's go one by one and talk about these. Again, some of the opinions we already put out there, but yeah, for the people that didn't listen to the Darkcast. AOP and Paul Ellering
will be the NWA World Tag Team Champions in about 85 days.
That would make a lot of sense to me. I could see them going to TNA, but not necessarily. I don't think they're going to AEW under any capacity. I don't think that Tony Khan's going to be like, I really want to make sure that I get Paul Ellering under my, like, you know, it seems like he assigns some people to just be like, I want to say that Ric Flair was in my company. And like, you know, I don't think that's going to be the case with these guys. I hope that they don't try to do the Wrestling Entertainment Series again.
Yeah, I would hope they learn their lesson.
Yeah. But they're a fun tag team. And it's a shame that they got released. They came back and WWE was like, yeah, but we're not really interested in you all that much. Like, we'll put you with Final Testament. You can lose. I think they had more to offer. And at the same time, I don't really think that the roster is going to be missing much.
Yeah, I would agree.
Now, for anything that we say here that sounds like kind of harsh, keep in mind, not advocating for anybody to lose their jobs under any capacity. I think it's disappointing when anybody gets released. And I want them all to bounce back, unless they're terrible people. If I don't know, and maybe they're a terrible person, then they can fuck off. That's my approach to everybody these days. But realistically, from a fan's perspective, I don't think there's going to be that many people that are going to be like, oh my God, there's such a big void now that the Good Brothers aren't there, for instance. Karl Anderson and Luke Gallows did fuck all since coming back. They put them in NXT just to give them something to do. Anderson was injured for a good portion of this. What did they really do that was like, okay, they're not like teaming up with AJ Styles and doing anything fun anymore. We're well past the beat up John Cena era. At no point would they have booked the Good Brothers versus any tag team on the roster, and I would have thought to myself, oh, well, clearly the Good Brothers are going to win. And that includes teams like Pretty Deadly or like Los Garza. I'd have been like, all right, well, they're probably losing.
In this run, yes, but they'll also be just fine. They've got Japan. They've got TNA if they wanted, I'm sure. They're going to do another Talking Shop at Mania. They're going to be all right.
They'll figure something out. It seems like Karl Anderson has already trademarked a new potential name. Automatic Karl Anderson, a.k.a. Instead of Machine Gun.
I just got the AKA.
Mm-hmm. So it's like, yeah, he's going to want to do something there. Cool. Good for him. They'll probably have a lot of fun on the indies or something.
Yeah, they're going to just do their own thing. And they'll have fun. And credit to them for it.
I want Cedric Alexander in AEW.
Yeah. He might hurt people. I don't know.
Pop him in the Hurt Syndicate. You don't have to do any work, really. Just be like, yeah, remember how he was a part of the Hurt Business? Here you go.
He's
Done.
Back there.
AEW really should switch over one of their mid-card titles, one of their 5 mid-card titles that they have access to, and make it a Cruiserweight Championship.
No, because weight class championships don't do it for me in this era because everyone is like, there's no clear division. Where back in the day it was like you had Big Show and JBL and Undertaker, and then you had Funaki. It's like, okay, I get it, but this isn't that roster.
I just hate the TNT title, the Continental title, and the International title. None of them are any different, except for this weird random tournament for the one Continental title.
Yeah.
But Cedric is great. I think he would do gangbusters on the AEW roster. Now, by that, I don't mean I don't think he's going to be like AEW World Champion or something, but I think that he would fit in very well there. I think he'd have a lot of great matches with a lot of great people.
He could be TNA X Champion. He'll do fine there. He could be a Ring of Honor TV champion. He'll be fine there. Like, he'll be fine.
Can't quite say the same for Giovanni Vinci. Which sucks, because Fabian Eichner is a fun dude in the ring.
God. What a weird story there, huh?
Do you think that there's any truth to the rumors that he was like, his push pretty much died because he was hitting on Tiffany Stratton?
I don't know, but if Ludwig orchestrated that quickly, I would almost begrudgingly say, look out for your next world champion based on politics. Ludwig Kaiser. If you got a guy fired?
The thing is, like, sometimes where there's smoke, there's fire. And of course, we don't have any fucking idea if that's complete and utter bullshit. It very well could be.
I err on the side that it probably is. They
really just like shit on Vinci when he was in Imperium. It was like every week he would lose a match. Gunther would be like, you fucking loser. And then Kaiser would be like, yeah, God damn it, I don't want you here. And it was like, well, fuck me. You really don't like this guy on your team. And then they do the thing where they boot him off into the other roster.
And then they had him lose in 5 seconds.
Yeah, it's like, it's weird. And it does seem like they're kind of finally coming around to something that I've been pitching for a while, which is like, okay, you should probably put Pete Dunne in there.
We'll see. Because he's still just doing the I don't like that on Butch thing. Mm-hmm. So we'll see. Yeah, but I don't think Vinci is... I can't think of a single thing he'll do until I see it.
Now, I would be very surprised if we see Fabian Eichner, because I'm assuming he's going to go by Fabian Eichner. And maybe he's going to go by Gio Vinci or something like that. I don't know. But I'd be shocked if Eichner, under any name, tries to do the Giovanni Vinci gimmick.
No, he's going to be one of those, like, It was the worst thing that ever happened to me. Let's just get back to wrestling.
I think so too. And I could see him popping up on like, Bloodsport or whatever it might be, like, just kind of touring around and doing that kind of thing. I think if he lands anywhere specifically, it's either going to be NWA or it's going to be TNA. I don't think it's going to be AEW or New Japan or, anywhere necessarily like that. Anybody that could potentially just go to TNA, though, I find interesting because, like, well, what if they do like a crossover thing and then they go, hey, buddy, But it could happen.
Well, they basically did that with Ziggler.
Mm-hmm.
And they did it with Dana Brooke. Ash by Elegance at a Battleground where it's just like, hey, it's Ash by Elegance, cool. Like, so that is always an option for them.
Could very well be. We're like, hey, we're going to do a crossover thing. It's going to be Fabian Eichner versus, who do we have on the roster? How about Ludwig? Vinci, though, he's fun in the ring, so I hope that he bounces back as well. On the women's side of this,
the women,
we had talked about how Blair Davenport would be like a fun name to go over to like a Stardom or like New Japan's women's division, or she could just pop right back up in AEW. She could go to TNA. Like, she kind of, I think she has like one of the most versatile options out there.
Completely agree. And I don't have a preferred landing spot, but I'm, of course, rooting for them all to get back on their feet.
I can't quite say I'm super thinking that we're going to see Elektra Lopez bounce back in like a, oh man, she's going to go to AEW and like take the division by storm. I could see Elektra Lopez leaving pro wrestling.
I hope not, but I understand your sentiment, so I could see it happening.
Now, Sonya Deville has already put out like, to be continued, like, see what's coming next. I could see her also not being in pro wrestling.
I would be very sad. Sonya Deville, and I talked about this on the Darkcast, I think, but like, she was steps away from being the biggest heel on the roster during the pandemic era. She was a giant heel in the Authority era that she had.
She is definitely somebody that if they would have had these two mid-card titles, she would have won one of them.
Yeah. Her and Mandy Rose would have been feuding over like the women's US.
Mm-hmm.
She was supposed to get the WrestleMania match with Asuka.
It's actually, that could be a fun podcast one day. Who would have been a women's mid-card champion?
Yeah, I think that would actually be really fun, especially for specifically you and I to just go through the years and break it all down. But yeah, she was supposed to get the WrestleMania match with Asuka. It was going to be Asuka against Mandy against Sonya. And then they just decided, hey, we're going to have Charlotte beat you and then make the WrestleMania match for everything. So, like, they saw something in Sonya. I think they also knew that, hey, it's budget cuts, kid, kind of thing, like, which I hate. You're making record profits. Don't fucking cut people.
That's the evil business thing of like, well, we have to cut the bottom whatever percent.
Bottom 10%. Says the guy from General Electric. Haha.
That way we have this unsustainable fucking perpetual growth. I'm not an, economics major or anything along those lines, but like, this bubble has to fucking burst, people. It's impossible to constantly make new revenue every single fucking quarter.
It's happening everywhere. Massive layoffs in the gaming community. Why? Because you're taking $2 billion to make a game that looks like it could have been made in a fraction of that cost. And then when it doesn't sell $5 billion, you're like, oh, well, this was horrible. This is a failure. Everybody's fired. Don't fire people. Sorry, I know we're talking about them firing people.
But I do see somebody like an Elektra Lopez, and I go, all right, I understand why they released her. Like, realistically speaking, again, I don't like it that people get fired, but if you look at the roster, there is a pecking order. There are people that are utilized more, and it's very obvious who is utilized more because, like, okay, are you good? If you had a gun to their head and you said you have to release somebody from the Raw roster specifically, they're not getting rid of Rhea Ripley over Zoe Stark. And they're not getting rid of Zoe Stark over Alba Fire, maybe. But that's worth the discussion point because then you go, what's the contract situation or something? Gun to their head, if they had to get rid of Liv Morgan or Maxine Dupree, who are they utilizing more? They're putting more focus and effort on Liv Morgan. So it's like, you look at somebody like Elektra Lopez, and it was like, yeah, she was barely there, all things considered. Like, I gotta look it up. I don't remember the last match that she had. So Carissa Rivera, it's a real name for anybody who's wondering.
I think she might have been in a qualifier.
If we separate it to broadcasted shows, I'm using Cage Match because Cage Match is awesome. She wrestled 7 times in 2024. That wasn't on like a live show, house show thing.
Yeah, that's too little.
These are her 7 matches over the course of last year, which, by the way, as far as we're aware, she wasn't even injured. There was a battle royal on NXT. She teamed up with Lola Vice and lost a tag team match on NXT. She lost a match to Lola Vice on NXT after that. She was in another battle royal on Raw. She beat Zelina Vega on an episode of SmackDown in April of last year. She lost a first round speed match. And she lost a triple threat for the first round of the women's US title. That's not great. Before that, what did she do? In all of 2023, where she wrestled a lot more, where she wrestled like 20 matches, around like 20 matches or so. Almost all of them are NXT, NXT Level Up, or WWE Main Event. So if you are on the roster for, it looks like they signed her.
Was it 19?
Oh, she wrestled a couple other matches where she lost to like Lacey Evans on NXT in like 2018, and she lost. She teamed up with somebody named Kristen as the Brooklyn Bells. Oh, it's Chris Statlander. What?
Yeah,
Elektra Lopez and Chris Statlander losing to the Iconics on SmackDown in 2019. That's weird.
They were the
Brooklyn Bells, apparently.
Yeah, I remember when they gave them that silly name. And like Statlander, I don't know if she was trained by Hawkins, but I know Stat was. So maybe she does have a love of this. Maybe she will go to TNA. Listen, anytime I see a woman released, more often than not, the best thing for them is TNA, because the Knockouts division always uses everybody.
And it's a relatively easy way to win a championship too. They'll give you a tag title or something.
Although, it hasn't happened yet for Dana.
Yeah, she still hasn't?
No, she's still chasing.
So I thought it was funny. I mentioned this here and there, that some of the guys that are in the apartment complex that I'm in are wrestling fans. And like, I'll, go down to pick up a package or something and like chat it up with everybody. I was coming back from grocery shopping the other day, and it was on Monday. Yeah. And I'm standing there with my 2 bags, and 3 of them are standing around like the front desk. And I hear that they're talking, and I'm like, oh, what's up, guys? And they immediately go, hey, so about Netflix. And I'm like, wait, what? And they're like, oh, and they start talking about how they're upset with how Netflix has like the buffering and all that from like last week, and I was like, oh yeah, that was terrible. Like,
Oh, that's right.
I bitched and complained about it on whatever and stuff. And then the one guy goes, I mean, I'm boycotting tonight's episode, but not for that reason. And I was like, well, for what? And he's like, because they got rid of my girl, Elektra Lopez. And I was like, oh yeah, like, no, you're a fan? And he's like, I got in trouble with my girlfriend the other day because I said, they got rid of her. She has such a great ass. And I was like, all right, well, I mean, that's one reason to boycott the show. Like, so at least from some person's perspective.
I love that though, because it's a reminder that somebody out there is like, fuck yeah, Lopez.
There was a whole big discussion between the three of them and me, because then they started going. Another one of the guys was like, "Oh, that's my girl too," and like he even like stopped the elevator when I was like, "All right, I gotta go, guys," because I got like stuff in my, I got like things that could melt and stuff. I got to the elevator and he had followed me to the elevator to continue talking about how he was annoyed that they didn't give Elektra Lopez a chance. And put his hand out to like stop the elevator door from closing to finish his thought. And I'm like, man, they're really passionate that they did not want Elektra Lopez to get taken out of here.
That's so funny, because like you just said, yeah, I totally see why they released Elektra Lopez.
Yeah, like realistically, from like these analyst perspective that we have, we break down predictions, we talk about like, really like foresight type stuff, and we pay attention to shit that a lot of people don't. People listening to this podcast might, but there are a lot of people that are out there that are like, oh, I didn't even know that so-and-so was part of this other company or whatever. And meanwhile, we're like, yeah, did you see the buy rates? Or it's like, a lot of people don't care about that stuff. And to some people, they're just like, man, I really liked Elektra Lopez because hot girl on my TV. And it's like, we are in a different era, but to some people and in some situations, that's all it boils down to. And, that to each their own. Some people watch and they just go, man, I only want to watch Roman Reigns because I think he's hot. Or they're like, I really like all the music. And that's how they find this fun. And, Elektra Lopez was doing it for the portion of the audience just because she's attractive. So, hey, if she wants to like do an OnlyFans or something like that, she can make a lot of money. I don't blame her if she would go in that direction. Anybody like that. I mean, I don't know the numbers, but like,
Mandy Rose made like $1 million in a couple weeks, didn't she?
Yeah, I'm sure she probably made that within 1 week or so. And like, and that too, like you could see people that like get followed more on like social media and stuff. So like, I'm sure, Rhea Ripley with like her popularity would be like a bigger star for that. But, maybe somebody like Lopez is just like, yeah, I just want to model. I'd be like, yeah, good for her if she likes to do that.
I hope she still wrestles.
If she's passionate about it, and she's second generation, so she could just be like, I want to be a wrestler. This is bullshit. I never got a chance to do that. Fucking go get it. You know what I mean? Like, go prove to WWE that they sat on you and didn't do anything with you for 3 fucking years or however long it's been. How old is she, actually?
I'm not sure.
Looks like she's 32, according to this.
Oh, wow.
So there's still time if she were to, make a better name for herself or something.
That's nice to hear that there's still time.
It kind of depends. It's like, if the world's going to end, it's a different story. Yeah. We have like 6 years before some rocket, not some rocket, some meteorite kills us or something.
Yeah. God, that sucks.
But all this stuff, I think, applies very much even more so to Isla Dawn. She seems like she wants to be a wrestler. And she seems like she could go to TNA, she could go to AEW, and immediately like have the same character and just be like, okay, I'm here now. And I think she would work like that. I don't know what other ring names that she went by. She can't go by
Isla Dawn.
She's always been just Isla Dawn.
Remember, that was the NXT
Oh, it's NXT UK. Yeah. I wonder if she gets to keep that name.
I hope so.
Hopefully so she doesn't have to like reset everything like that. Apparently Courtney Stewart and Stacy Coates. What names did she went by?
I think one of those is just her real name, isn't it?
Looks like Courtney Stewart might be her real name. Yeah, I mean, like, I've seen a lot more support out of all the people that have been in the mix here. I've seen a lot more support for Sonya and Isla Dawn than, like, I hate to say it, but like, I don't see anybody going like, man, what happened to Blair Davenport?
Well, Blair Davenport's gonna be fine. She's just gonna go back to Japan. She's just gonna kill it. You know?
Realistically, yeah. But
yeah, like, I think that's why people, because anyone in that fandom hasn't gotten the chance to know her because she didn't do anything.
She really didn't. Like, they put her up on the main roster and said, I forget about you. At least Isla Dawn, they had like the tag team stuff with Alba Fire. They gave her the tag team titles.
She just got the run of like, hey, we're in Scotland, so you're going to be featured and you're going to win.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
which is like, that goes back to the whole thing of like, when they're looking at these people and they're like, okay, well, we need to, cut some money off the low end of the roster or something, and they get rid of like Indy Hartwell and Tegan Knox and so on and so forth. It's still very weird to me that they got rid of Isla Dawn and not Alba Fire.
I look at that and I go, that's because there's women's mid-card championships.
You think that they just hold her in high enough regard that they're like, well, we need to keep her around to be like a person in that division?
Listen, God forbid if something happened today to like the main chunk of the women, we need Kaylee Ray to go fucking steal it at WrestleMania with Io Sky, and they'll do it. She's that good. Be that.
Yeah,
she's that good. And if she was released, she'd be the main one. I'm going, my God, Tony, pick her up. Kaylee Ray versus Tony Storm, Kaylee Ray versus Mercedes Moné. She'd be the one I want in AEW if she got released, which I'm glad she didn't, by the way. I'm like, look, in case we don't say it 100,000 bajillion million times, we're not happy anybody loses their job.
But at the same time, I am interested to see where these people go, because somebody like an Isla Dawn, somebody like an Elektra Lopez, Sonya Deville, Blair Davenport, the men that we were talking about too, none of these people were really being used. And there is a chance that Sonya could go over to AEW, or Sonya could go over to ROH, be the person that beats Athena, and it's like,
go to GCW, have a killer run, and then just immediately be like, okay, she's cool now because
she had an opportunity to do something that WWE never let her do, and now they see it.
Look at Cardona. Look at Steph Delander, Persia Perota. These are major names now because they're able to do their own thing. Look at someone like Swerve Strickland.
Yeah. And it doesn't work out for everybody. There are plenty of people that go elsewhere and flop. And there are, unfortunately, a lot of people that we just never hear from again. Like, in any capacity. Like, whatever happened to Curtis Axel?
Oh, he's working behind the scenes.
Curtis Axel?
He was for a while. If he's not working as a producer now,
think he is.
Then he might have just been like, I'll take 5 years off and then I'll do a run in the NWA.
So now I'm curious. I'm looking at a list of people that were released in 2020, just for like it's not just like the immediate list group. And it's like, it's funny. Some of these are like, hey, Zelina Vega, she was brought back, Akam and Rezar brought back, whatever. Sonya Deville, okay, but like, I haven't heard anything about Travis Banks. I haven't
That's a
heard
UK
any.
guy, right?
Yeah. I forgot about Radzi. Wow. Okay.
Ooh,
Radzi. He was like an interviewer for like
sure.
NXT. Cesar Bononi was a part of AEW for a little while there,
Oh,
but
he's actually a super. He's like a secret weapon for the wrestlers now in their training. He's training Eddie Kingston. He's trained, I think, Diana.
Huh.
Like, just in terms of like actual physical fitness.
When's the last time that Primo popped up
They're
anywhere?
in the NWA.
Oh, really?
By they, I mean him and Epica.
There's, of course, like Leo Rush. We know where he went. Eric Rowan, he's back in the company. MJ Jenkins, did she go anywhere? Jazzy Gabert?
So. I think Gabert still does some like indies overseas.
2021. Let's see what this Lars Sullivan guy's up to this week.
Oh, this week, more like the past hour. What the fuck?
Yeah.
What is going on?
Anybody that's curious, Lars Sullivan's going on a fucking rant.
Lars Sullivan's crashing out on Twitter.
Yeah, if you want to laugh at that, go ahead.
And by laugh, I mean like shame this man for being transphobic and racist and
awful,
weird.
Kalisto in 2021, Tucker.
He's a high school basketball coach.
Tucker is?
Yeah.
Oh. I hope he's having fun.
He's fully retired. He's he's just doing that.
Wesley Blake is working in NXT now. I know that.
You know who else is? Tyler Breeze.
Yeah. Good for him.
He's a writer.
I'm always curious who writes what and like who does that kind of stuff. Like I want to know, is like Tyler Breeze the guy working on Ashanti?
Maybe one day, maybe I'll ask. But I know someone who is in that system. It's not Tyler Breeze, but it's funny how basic some of the things are. When I was like, yo man, how do you get in that spot? And they're like, it's like, hey, fantasy book angles and just keep notes on everything. And I'm like, sometimes, man, you don't realize how simple things can be if you just get it in front of the right people. But I think Breeze is probably the person who is responsible for Lexus King working with Dango for obvious reasons.
Yeah, he failed to win the NXT Heritage Cup this week.
Which they're really excited to be like, it's Lexus King one fall rules. Okay. Look, there goes the fun of the cup. And I know you don't care about the cup. I like the cup.
I actually even put up a question of the day of
fuck the cup.
How can we redo the cup in a different way where we just change the championship to something else?
Is it the NXT European Championship?
Nah, fuck that. I hate that. I forget actually what I went with. I think I went with like, I don't really have a full idea, but I tossed a couple ideas out of like, you could just get rid of it entirely and that's perfectly fine. And then I think the thing that I had liked the best, if I remember correctly, was the Iron Circle Championship or something. Fuck me, I don't remember. Every day is a fucking week. So
see, I'm a belt guy. Like everybody's like, oh, there's too many belts. I'm like, nah, I think we need more. And I think we need to like actually bring back the hardcore title and actually just like have a belt for everyone at every tier. Because it just makes this show better, man. Like when when Al Snow had a belt to fight for and D'Lo and everybody had a fucking prize to go for, I think it makes them seem like bigger stars instead of being like, yeah, they're people who will never win anything. doesn't help.
To an extent. When it comes to like the 24/7 title, that didn't really help anybody. You know?
Yeah, no, it didn't help anybody because they went with straight comedy. Like, if you give it like some sort of level of credibility and toughness, it'll be fun. I actually disagree. I think it helped one person. That was R-Truth.
R-Truth, yeah.
Like,
I mean, R-Truth is what, like a 57-time champion or something now?
Was it the 24/7, 7-Eleven,
I-95?
European television champion?
Oh, he's great. They should have just let him keep the belt.
I can't remember if it was this week or last week, but there was the promo where he was like, Jay, you did it. You're the king of the ring.
I think it was this week. Yeah, I thought that was great. And then he's like, Royal Rumble winner. And he's like, yeah, that too.
He's like, oh man, you did it all.
Yeah, so I mean, like, on the topic of all these releases and stuff, we're gonna have to wait and see where these people show up next. I'm curious to see where that is, and of course, if they are like, hey everybody, it turns out that I don't know, AOP is on NWA. Well, I don't watch NWA, so I'm not gonna be able to see what they're doing there. But anybody that finds out anything like that, let us know. If somebody's doing something awesome, hopefully they are. Yeah, one more hot tag to talk about here. Predictions for AEW Grand Slam and ROH Global Wars.
I think we could skip Global Wars because it's a taping, but like,
I mean, it is a special taping in some ways, but there's 4 matches, and I don't really know what's going on with some of these. So we'll knock it out pretty quickly.
At random, so like, there's nothing.
Yeah, it's nothing really set up for a lot of these. Like Lee Moriarty's up against Robbie Eagles for the pure title. I have just no context. Robbie Eagles on
the card.
Moriarty wins. Athena is defending the women's title against Alex Windsor.
Athena's not losing.
No, not going to lose. The tag titles are going to be Dustin Rhodes and Sammy Guevara against I always want to say XMM. I don't know why. MXM.
Now collection. That they might actually do.
Could be. I don't know if when's the last time that they like changed champions on a TV taping for ROH? Because they typically just do title changes on like those, quarterly pay-per-views or so, right?
Yeah.
So maybe not. I don't know. I'll say tag titles stay where they are.
They'll have some fun of talking about going down under.
And the Outrunners and Bandito are up against the Learning Tree. Outrunners and Bandito probably win, so that way Jericho gets a match with Bandito.
Completely agree.
That's Global Wars. Which I have no context for as being like, Global Wars is back, because I never really watched. I don't think I've seen a single ROH pay-per-view all the way through other than when they started to do this with like the AEW side of things.
Well, I've got news for you, pal. We're not talking about Global Wars because this podcast doesn't do politics.
Well, we've had a couple little things here and there about that. Grand Slam Australia, though. Not a pay-per-view. So we don't do a separate pay-per-view point. So that's why we're doing it on hot tags. We've got a Brisbane Brawl. Jay White and Cope. I fucking hate that. Against Jon Moxley and Claudio Castagnoli. The big angle here, they stole the briefcase.
Well, no. That was just to get Moxley to say yes to the match in March.
Yeah, the Revolution match. But it's like, okay, well now I don't want to do that again. This has potential to be fun because look at the 4 people involved. And if it's a brawl, We could get weapons involved, Moxley can bleed, all that other kind of stuff. I'm not super duper into it. And I'll be perfectly honest when it comes to this too, for anybody that's curious. If I can figure out spoilers for the show at like 3 a.m. or whenever they end up doing this, I'll probably only watch the things that people afterwards say was really good.
I will say that I am very into this tag match. Look at the 4 guys involved. They're 4 of my favorites. I expect to see a lot of blood. I expect to see Moxley take Spike to the head. Because Edge, fuck it, he's Edge. He brought back the Spike weapon, the board with the nails in it. I like it. It's a bit goofy, but I still like that he's got a signature weapon. And I expect to see either he pins Mox to add some steam to the Revolution match, or he pins Claudio.
I fully expect that Jay White and Cope win.
Yeah.
And, by doing that, it's either like you said, either they do the whole like, oh, and he pinned Moxley. Oh my God. Wow. That means that he could really win the match. Or it's like, all right, well, he didn't pin Moxley, but he still beat the Death Riders, If not, then Jay White takes the pin. Cope's not getting pinned.
I really hope Jay White's not taking the pin. I want to say, babyfaces win. And like I said, Edge probably pins Mox.
And Mercedes Moné is defending the TBS title against Harley Cameron. No real surprises there. I would be more interested in this if Harley Cameron was fighting the Muppet.
How long until they start selling those?
I'm surprised they haven't already. At least put them on pre-orders while they're making them,
I think once in a blue moon, people get super over, right? And everybody just goes, nope, they need to win everything. Right now, Harley Cameron isn't her. Everybody wants her to have everything won it. And I don't think she beats Mercedes.
Me neither.
But that being said, she's very, very talented.
And like you said, once in a blue moon. That's, the implication being every once in a while, something does have to happen that's kind of weird like that. Otherwise, it's not once in a blue moon. So it could happen that they end up just going, you know what? Fuck it. Let's just give this to her. And just, the crowd goes crazy and she loses it back pretty soon or something.
No, fuck that. Mercedes should be the world champion. If she loses here or anywhere, she needs to go straight to the world title.
Which she could very well do, because Mariah May is up against Timeless Toni Storm.
And what I assume will be the main event of the show. They're building it like it is.
I assume that's probably going to be the case too. And that, all the more reason...
She's losing. Mariah has to lose here.
Are you thinking Mariah's winning?
No, Mariah has to lose here.
Oh, I thought you said win. I think Toni Storm's winning the title back too.
I'm good with these two. It was a great story, but it's time to move on.
I don't even think it's a great story.
It was a great story.
Maybe for 3 weeks out of the 2 years that they were doing it. For me,
look, hold on, pal. It feels like 2 years. I understand, but it's been. Oh my God, has it really been a year and a half? No, hold on. When did Mariah May debut? She debuted in February. So it's only been a year. Okay, jeez, scared me for a second there, Tony.
It all blends together to me.
Yeah, it really does.
Fucking Timeless Toni Storm is I still am riding the same wavelength of being not interested. And I hate to say this because it makes it seem like I don't like Toni Storm, but everything Toni Storm has done in AEW, and everybody goes nuts over her with the Outcasts and all that stuff. I'm I haven't liked any of it, really. I've certainly not loved any of it like a lot of people are. And it sucks because I do think that she's really talented, but I don't know. the character stuff doesn't work for me. And whether she's feuding with Britt Baker or Thunder Rosa or whatever, like over and over and over and over again, like everything in the women's division of AEW just feels like it's like, I never feel like anything changes. Even though technically speaking, it's like, yeah, okay, I was hating on the Paige and Storm and whatever stuff, and they're not in there anymore. It just kind of feels like it moves to the next phase of the same thing, and I don't like any of it. So I'm like, I don't remember the last time I was genuinely interested in a women's division thing in AEW.
Yeah, I mean, look, I prefer the way the women's division is going now, but there are some people who are like, it's the best women's division. Not yet. Mercedes is doing better. They've got Stat. They've got Megan. They've got Harley, who's a phenomenon, and Toni Storm. But like, I want to see some really good matches, and I think Mercedes has been delivering there, but I don't get it with this story, and that's why I'm ready to move on.
We also have Kazuchika Okada against Buddy Matthews. Got to get those local people in there. Continental Championship match. It's going to be fun. Matthews is not going to win, but...
Imagine Okada losing.
Yeah, he's losing it all in Texas.
Yeah, because we're going to make you wait 7 months. I still don't like it. I don't care what company it is. Don't make me wait 7 months. Thank you. But yeah, he's losing it all in Texas.
And then, what was the other match? Don Callis family. Kyle Fletcher and Konosuke Kishida against Omega and Ospreay. Again, should be a lot of fun.
I'd like Omega and Ospreay to win here. Put the baby faces over.
I could see it going either way. But at least right now, I'm leaning a little bit more towards Ospreay and Omega. It kind of depends on where they want to go next, because if they want to set up a specific match, they might have to go in a specific way.
I think Omega might be challenging Takeshita.
Omega versus Takeshita at Revolution, maybe?
Mm-hmm. And you'll do like...
Ospreay and Fletcher.
3 and like an Iron Man or something.
Because it was what? It was Ospreay.
Ospreay
lost
down
the first one.
At Wrestle Dream. Ospreay up at...
and the tournament. Yeah.
World's End.
Yeah, so you do Ospreay, Fletcher 3, and yeah, Ospreay and Omega win.
And I don't know, I might have misspoken. It might have been Full Gear and not Wrestle Dream. But Ospreay and Omega
can't remember.
win.
Yeah, sometime around that time frame. Now, are your plans going to be to try to watch this live? No matter when they air it?
Listen, pal. The last time there was a show in Australia, it was WWE Elimination Chamber 2024, and I was having the hardest time waking up. And I think that might have been the one that Callum decided I'm not watching this anymore. Because time zones suck. So if I have to be awake, sure. But I'm hoping I can figure out how to watch it as early as possible.
Well, no post-show for that under any circumstances, but there will be a post-show immediately following WWE Vengeance Day on Saturday night. So stay tuned for that. That'll be the next podcast coming your way, everybody. Go back and check out some previous episodes. Go check out things like the Darkcast, where we did do the little halftime heat thing. Congratulations to the Eagles, by the way. And
congratulations to the city of Philadelphia for...
tearing down the place, yeah.
Woo! Win or lose, baby.
Yeah, win or lose, the city will burn. It's like it's always going to be a thing. And we're watching clips of that and stuff, and my wife is like, "What? But why?" And I'm like, "Look, I can't quite explain why, but I get it because I'm from the area. Like, there's something inherently about us where we're like, Like she showed me like a clip of people that were like taking down one of the poles and just like
stomping on the street.
Stomping on the street, like that was one of the ones. Yeah. And she's like, what are they accomplishing? And I was like, fuck the light. She's like, but what did the light do? And I'm like, it's there.
We're such Neanderthals. Why are we? God.
I didn't watch a moment of the game, but go Birds.
I watched. So it's like, you know what it was like, actually? It was like Cena and Lesnar.
Just like a brawl, brutal mauling.
Yeah, where you're just like, well, surely John Cena's going to probably come away with the win here. Oh, fuck, he's dying. Oh, no, And then everybody got excited because during the halftime show, Kendrick Lamar called Drake a pedophile.
Yeah, I did see some clips about that.
I mean, okay, look, so you had two sides of this. You had people excited for Drake being, outed as predator, and you had people you had the white people, the annoying white people, I'm going to call a spade, going, well, I didn't understand a word that was said. It's like,
why can't we get some different genres in there? It's like country music.
And look, I'll be the first to admit, like, rap doesn't have to be your thing to understand that, like, this is the moment we're in.
Like, I wasn't a big fan of some of the songs, but like, I'm one person.
Yeah, but
not everybody likes fucking 80s synth music either, and I fucking love that.
You have the ability to understand, like, the world doesn't have to cater to you.
Yeah. Go back to the sometimes impossibly irrational, totally rational side of things. Yeah, let us know what you thought about that, everybody. This isn't a football channel by any means. I don't fucking know.
This is the most you'll ever hear.
Yeah. Pretty close to it, but chat it up in the comments, and keep in mind too, for anybody that's out there that's interested, like, just because the Discord server is basically built around the idea of a Smark Out moment, we do have Fanboys Anonymous on there, and if you want to fucking chat about football, go ahead. I don't think I have a channel specifically on there, but like, the whole point of the Discord is if you want to just fuck around and chat with people, there's a spot for you. So if that's something that'll good safe space or something for anybody.
Yeah, we just want to entice engagement, safe space. I mean, look, if nothing else, we're very honest with you, and you guys have been very in tune with Tony and I, just having a wild time the last several months and years.
Yeah, so keep all that in mind, everybody, and make sure that you bounce around on all the other different platforms that we have. Go to amangotree.com. You'll see a list of a bunch of those. So if you are on any of those platforms and you want to follow what I've got going on there, go ahead and do that. Make sure you're following Rob.
Yeah, and I'd like to thank you all for sitting through what feels like I'm brain dead right now. So thank you for that. And thank you to Tony for always being there. And
thank you to Rob.
Add Duke Felice. Look, guys, I'm having a time. And I really do appreciate the fact that, if nothing else, I can always come back here and just be me, which is at the moment completely brain dead.
I mean, it is 2:19 in the morning.
Thank you.
So, tell us what you think about these things too, everybody. Do you like when we do these more like, out there?
When it's me and Tony and just going, hey, we're just goof around for 2 hours.
Or are you like, you guys aren't serious, and you really should take this more seriously or something?
Yeah, what? Tell us if you want us to take it more seriously, because we could try. Like, we know how to be serious.
Sometimes.
I speak English.
Alrighty, everybody. Well, that is episode 689. we will see you next time around with the pay-per-view point post show for Vengeance Day. So adios for now. It's been another Smart Out moment, and we're being counted out.